So I would like to go around and everybody say who you are, introduce yourself with your maiden name as well so that folks may know who you are, and then what freshman dorm you were in, and the last time that you've been to campus. So we'll go ahead and get started with Patricia.
Hi, I'm Patricia Graham, stayed Patricia Graham. I started my freshman year in Woodson Hall and then moved to North Hall. And my next 3 years were in North. The last time I was at Catawba, I bought a sweatshirt, it's backwards. And I have to tell you, that was while I was still teaching in Charleston, South Carolina, and before I moved to California at that point in time. I'm now in Colorado, Littleton, Colorado.
Wow.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And the next person is Richard Mooney.
Hi, everybody. I actually did not start at Catawba until my junior year, so I was only there for 2 years. I was in Abernathy Hall. Like Patricia, I'm also in Colorado. I'm in Parker.
Oh, hi.
So I spent 38 years working for Kraft Foods. I retired 8.5 years ago and just enjoying life. Try to get out on my Harley every now and then and just enjoy the Colorado countryside.
I bet so. That sounds amazing. All right, and we'll move on to Glenn.
Oh. Well, hello. I'm Glenn Wolfgang. I started out in the administration building. There were just a few rooms still occupied as a dorm in Hedwig Hall, and ended up in Abernathy and after my junior year. I live in Pennsylvania, and I have just been working in the area here. I'm sorry, I grew up in Pennsylvania. I live in Maryland now. How quickly you forget, right?
No.
All right, thank you for sharing. And Jerry Fuss.
Excuse me, it's Foose. Rhymes with goose.
My apologies.
It did in 50 years ago, and it still does. I am currently living in Frederick, Maryland. My wife and I are living in the Homewood Retirement Community, where we have a nice cottage here and are comfortable in our setting here, not far from family members that live in Germantown and familiar area. Served congregations around this area until my retirement, and I'm fully retired and involved in activities here at Homewood and with other clergy-related activities and so forth. I was in Salisbury Rowan dorm on the top floor when I began, and then I was in Abernathy Hall for the second year, and then my third year I was in the dorm with Larry Bullock. What was the name of it?
Claremont.
Claremont, thank you. Claremont. And then the fourth year, my wife and I had been married, and we lived down on Lance Avenue, not far from where Larry and Edith live. Last time I visited, when did we last visit, Larry?
Well, I think you came through here in 2018, and we went to Atlanta.
Yes, okay, so it hasn't been too long, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You were here last year, but that was in the mountains. We met in the mountains last year.
Right, very good. Thank you.
I was going to say 2 years can feel like a really long time sometimes. All right, thank you for sharing. And we'll go ahead and go to Larry and Edith Bullock.
Okay.
Well, like Richard, I transferred in my junior year, but then I made up for it because I stayed until May of this year. So in fact, Larry and I are sitting here and looking out at the gym. Catawba Gym because we live right across the street. But I retired from the sociology department in May after 46 years of teaching, 38 of those at Catawba. So it's been good, and I still sometimes walk across campus and think I'm 20, and then I always say I run into Ken Clapp and wonder how he got so old, but then I realize I did too.
And I'm Larry Bullock. Edith and I have been married 49 years. Next year will be 50 years. And of course, we met here our senior year, then married in 71. Edith is a native of Salisbury, but I came as a freshman and was in SR dorm, Salisbury Rowan dorm, Section A. And then I went to Foyle House for a while. And then I went to Claremont, and my senior year, I was in, trying to remember, George. Oh, Heath Hill. I was roommates with George Mummert and Ken Clapp.
And if I had known that no one would room with him more than a year, I might have made a different decision about, but it's okay. But yeah, he had a different roommate every year, if that tells you anything.
I tell my daughter that when I go through the yearbook, I say, I dated that girl once. I dated that girl once. She didn't know any better, so she went out with me more than once.
That's a good story. I love that. And I will say that you did a fantastic job teaching. I loved the class that I got to take with you.
Well, I enjoyed you, Savannah, and I am so glad you're still at. My mother used to say she sent me to Catawba when I was 18 and I never finished. So I hope you'll be around a long time at Catawba too.
You and me both. Hard to leave a place that you love so much. All right, well, we will move on to Steve Hubbard.
Hi there. I did not graduate with my class of 1970. After my first year, a period of government service interrupted that, and so I wore a green suit for a few years. Ended up graduating my undergraduate degrees from San Diego State University, where I was in Southern California until 4 years ago, mostly in San Diego and sometimes up in Orange County, where I went to graduate school. But I don't remember the building that I was in when I was a freshman. It's just been too darn long. But in the Alumni Association kept in touch with me and followed me all those years from 1967, 68 through now. And when it was time for us to retire and escape from California, Salisbury was high on the list, and we moved back here in 2016, and I live less than a mile from the campus. So I've been on campus fairly recently, and it was because of, as President Nelson said today, that the family aspect of Catawba that really helped bring us back here. So, and we love it back here, and happy to be retired in beautiful Salisbury.
Yes, you know, growing up in Rowan County, a lot of folks would say, I can't wait to leave this place. I can't wait to get out. I can't stand Salisbury anymore. And I'm over here like, why? I love this place. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. And for those of you who are still joining or just recently joined, we're going around and introducing ourselves and maiden name, freshman dorm, and last time that you visited campus, and anything else that you would like to share. And I see that we had Jan joined. So Jan, would you like to introduce?
Sure. I'm J Hagerman Buskirk. I graduated with an elementary degree, which I used for almost 40 years. I live in near Reading, Pennsylvania, but we've moved all over the East Coast, and we're kind of back home now and retired. And I love Catawba because of the people. Being from the North, I wasn't used to the Southern hospitality, and I grew to really love it. Last time I was back on campus was the 10-year reunion.
Wow, nice to have you back, Jan.
Thanks.
Could I comment about Jan? I think the last time I saw you, it was at General Synod in Norfolk,
Oh, yeah.
Virginia. Maybe that's the
Right.
only time I've seen you.
Right. You're exactly right.
1991.
Mm-hmm.
And
We were
I see one more person has joined, and I want him to introduce himself. Ron?
Yeah, I'm Ron Chrisman, and I was in Salisbury, Rowan as a freshman. I had Ken Clapp and Rudy Chatlis as roommates. And I can remember sitting there, I forget the gentleman's name, who said, look to your left, look to your right, and they won't be here. You know, so I looked to my left, looked to the right, and I thought, wait a minute, if that's true, Catawba's going down the tubes because nobody will be here. But I was there, and then I was at Heath Hill. I think it was that, I'm not sure if that's used as a dorm yet, but I was there. Catawba meant a lot. Catawba has, I was pretty much a shy kid and came there, didn't have any leadership in high school. And when I left, I had some leadership positions, and I credit Martha West a great deal for that, because Martha West saw something in me as far as a teacher goes, and that's what my career was. I taught and was an elementary school principal, and now I work at a college as an affiliate professor.
Very nice. Thank you, Ron.
Sure.
All right, so I think everyone has introduced themselves, but I did see that Meg Dees has hopped on, and if you know Meg Dees, then you know she is our Vice President for Development, and I would like her to introduce herself if she's able.
Hi, well, it's nice to see you all. I'm so sorry we're having to do this over Zoom rather than in person, but hopefully next year we can talk you guys into coming back and having a second reunion. But my name is Meg Dees. I've been here at the college for about 3 years. I did not go to Catawba, but I grew up in Salisbury. Salisbury is home, so I think Catawba is super important to our community, and really love getting to know all of you and hear your stories. So thanks for joining us tonight.
Yes, which brings me to my next topic. Since everyone has introduced themselves, I want to go around and ask who everyone's favorite faculty member was at the time, if you can remember, and why they were your favorite, and any long-lasting piece of advice that they gave you, or anything special to you that you've taken from them. And this will be just come and go as you please. I won't go around and make everybody go at once.
I'll go first. Edith, I was like you though. I don't think I had the same roommate twice in the 4 years I was there. So,
Good to move around.
yeah, it's good to move around and get to know different people. So that kind of worked. Actually, one year I had a gal that was from Panama, and she came in January. So that was a fun roommate to have. But gosh, Dr. Schatzberger,
Oh, yeah.
dearly loved him. Trying to think of my religion professor, and I can't believe I'm saying I like my religion professor. Started with an SCH or something, if anybody else remembers his name.
Sheeman.
And then
Sheeman. Dr.
Yeah.
Dr.
Sheeman.
Sheeman.
yes, and then Pat Whitley Rice, Dr. Fisher. There were several, because I was in education and I taught for 6 years, and then got out of that and went into sales, and did sales in California, and then moved to Michigan for that. Ended up my career out here in Colorado as a meeting planner with a corporation. So I don't know. I've always told anybody if they want to go to a great little school, go to Catawba. I've worked with a gentleman who went to Elon, which he delighted in telling me it was a university now.
Yes.
And I reminded him we still beat them in football. I love the atmosphere. I love that school. Kind of chuckled because I changed my major from early ed and went into physical education. But I remember that we used to tell people that the old gymnasium was used during the Civil War. And I think, oh my God, why did you switch to physical education with the facilities they have here? But I went to Catawba because of the education program. And I still use a lot of the things that I learned in dealing with people, because those people are kids at heart.
That's really good. I also see that we've
like
had
you.
2 more folks join, and I would like them to kind of introduce themselves. Mindy Miller, who is also in our development office, if you would like to say hello.
Hi, everyone. Ron, I was gonna let you know that Meg and I are actually sitting in Heath Hill right now. It is now our office.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So from what I've heard, it looks and smells a little different than when it was a men's dormitory.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
So we like to say the nostalgia and the memories have lived on through Heath Hill, now becoming our alumni and development house. So we welcome, in normal circumstances, we always have homecoming registration here and welcome guests to come back. There's still some writing on the walls from when folks wrote their names when they were living here. So it's a great place. And the other fun thing is I want you guys to know that we are still planning to hold a delayed 50th reunion in 2021. That's our plan. So we will probably do a joint reunion with you and the class of 71 to do just a 50th blowout celebration next year. Over October 30th, 31st will be our homecoming dates. And we're crossing our fingers, those will be in person.
Cindy, I hate to interrupt you, but I want to make sure everybody has noticed that we have, I think it's Deputy COVID has joined us.
I'm late because I was out making my rounds as COVID cop, giving students who are being true to the protocol Chick-fil-A dinners and swag at the Lilly Center, and giving those who are not wearing their mask properly and so forth admonishments.
We love the costume there. We love that. And I see that Ann Fogg has joined. Ann, if you want to introduce yourself and tell us your freshman dorm and the last time you visited Catawba's campus.
I was there. I'm Ann Esterline Fogg.
Okay.
Jeff Fogg's former wife, but still best friend. And I'm not of your class. I'm from '69. And we had such a fantastic time. And there was so many of us there that promised, and we signed up last year to attend your meetings, to come. We worked it out that we could be on the side. And so we've even gotten emails now about us joining you. So Jenna Ray and a bunch of you guys' friends, chatlasses,
Yeah.
you're going to hear from some of us that because we're on Zoom, we're able to talk. So I was North Hall, and that's I'm here to listen. This is your time, and I just wanted to say, hey.
Very good.
Well, we welcome you. Hey, Ann.
Yeah, I saw a lot of you this afternoon, and I'm racking my head for sure who I recognized.
All right. Well, let's get back to the faculty member. So I know we've had one share. Let's have some more. Who else would like to share their favorite faculty member?
I wanted to follow up on Pat's comments because I too was in education for a while. But Dr. Selby comes to mind, and Dr. Heckert are two that had a big impact on me. But Dr. Selby, you know, after many of us have taken his freshman religion class, and you know how we sat as he read his notes, and you know, it was pretty much the same thing he said to everyone for years, I'm sure. But when we got to his class on the epistles, the students teach the class. And that was so outrageous that Rudy and I marched into his office and asked him why he was doing that. I don't really remember how he said it, but the experience remained with me for years. And in fact, I felt like I learned more by preparing the lessons for the day. And my interest in education for later. Dr. Heckert was just a very supportive person that I knew he had been in the mission field, and I was kind of intrigued by that. I knew that he was interested in helping, caring for other people. So that was inspiring to me. That's it.
Man, it's so good for me to hear that someone else also had to learn how to teach the lessons. They're still doing that, in case you're wondering.
You know, in my short time at Catawba, I don't think anyone was any more influential than Pastor Sywell, who was an amazingly kind and effective campus chaplain. He was a wonderful person, and I have thought of excuse me, I have thought of him over the years, and he and I corresponded when I was in the Army, and had after I'd left Catawba, we corresponded a number of times, and he was always so gracious and so supportive and so helpful. I will remember him forever.
Well, I was going to jump in. I was shocked when I transferred to Catawba to find out not only did I have to take Old and New Testament, but also I had to go to chapel. And as it turns out, King West was probably one of my favorite professors. I think I went home and said, I feel like I'm going to an Ivy League school when I go to his class. Then I went to chapel and was not thrilled. And then Porter started to speak, and I became a huge fan. So, and Larry and I were able to keep up with both of them over the years, and that meant a lot. And of course, in sociology, in addition to Dr. Heckert, Sterling Whitener meant a lot to me. And Ken Sale. And Ken hired me back to teach at Catawba. Sterling hired me to teach at Livingstone. So I got to work with both of them after I finished graduate school. Who's your favorite?
Well, my favorite, I guess, and that was beyond Catawba days as such, was Dr. Maynard Rich, Frosty Rich. Even though he just came our senior year, he was a great influence on me, and he taught psychology. But Edith and I, we got to do 10 years of marriage enrichment with Frosty and Betsy Rich from 80 to 90, from 1980 to the 1990. And that was what's kept our marriage together. So, and King West, he was one of the greatest Old Testament scholars you could have. And I'm trying to think, oh, and I had field placement with Dr. Whitener. And so, I had a great positive experience with religion and sociology and psychology majors. I mean, not majors, but taking those courses. And believe it or not, I'm a minister, and Glenn Wolfgang is not.
Well, I'll go. My favorite is, as I mentioned earlier, Martha West. Dr. West had tremendous impact on me. I grew up on a farm in Pennsylvania. None of my brothers graduated from high school. And the pastor was a UCC pastor, Vernon Stoop, and he said, Ron, he says, I think you would do well at Catawba College. And I'm like, where in the world is this? He told me North Carolina. And so I thought, okay, yeah, I can do this. But boy, the first night I was there, of course, Ken was a roommate. I see him here and Rudy Chatlis. And I was so homesick. And if I would have known my parents were at a hotel right in that area, I probably would have gone home. I hadn't been away from home much, and the only one to ever graduate from high school and then go to college. So Martha, I was going to be a business major, but then I thought, well, I'll take some education classes. And Dr. West, I have to credit her a great deal with my career and how it evolved, because I was a teacher in North Carolina for 9 years and then moved to Pennsylvania with my dad having a brain tumor. That's what kind of took me north again, home to where I grew up. But she's the one, definitely. I've told her many times when I've spoken to her.
All right. If no one else wants to share, we can move on. I'm just really curious. My favorite part about, coming to Catawba as a student and graduating and now having my position here at the college, my favorite part is learning everyone's Catawba story. You never hear the same Catawba story of how you got here or why Catawba. So if anybody would love to share, I'm happy to listen.
Okay, people. I don't always want to be first.
Oh, go ahead.
We had moved from Virginia, Southern Virginia, to New Jersey. And I knew that I did not want to go back to Virginia because you either went to an all-girls school, and I wasn't going to go to William and Mary. I'm not sure I had the grades to get in anyway. So, and Virginia or New Jersey didn't have any schools. I mean, seriously, they had Rutgers, they had Princeton, they had a couple of small ones, but there really were not that many schools. And personally, I wanted to go back where I was comfortable. So North Carolina was one of those places. If you threw a dart in the map, about 25 miles around, you found a college. So I looked at Guilford, I looked at High Point. I don't know whether I looked at Elon. I looked at a lot of colleges. We did that southern swoop down and started looking at schools. And in the springtime, Catawba's beautiful. I checked in and their education program for teachers was really good. It was a small school. It was smaller than where I graduated from high school. And I liked the idea of not being a number. Mm-hmm. And literally, when I got the acceptance, there was no other decision. I was going to Catawba. And of course, then I've had to explain a few times to people that it is not a wine. It's not a winery. We weren't a bunch of boozers. That it is a college. So, but not, it was a great school.
They also have cheer wine.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm so glad that you showed that. That we are having a Cat U drive-through on Saturday for anyone who's able to drive by or local. They can come by and get a free cheer wine and possibly meet our homecoming court. And we'll also Facebook Live introducing our homecoming court for this year too. So you just reminded me of that. But I love cheer wine also.
What time is that? And I'll see if I can leave now and get there.
You walking?
I, on the other hand, will miss the entire thing, even if I were in North Carolina. So.
Yeah, hi Linda. Thank you for joining. We've all introduced ourselves, but we would love for you to introduce yourself at maiden name and freshman dorm and the last time that you visited campus.
It's Linda Fairbanks Atkins.
Okay.
Some of you I recognize, some of you I don't. I'm sure you feel the same way about me. But anyway, I haven't been to campus since my 20th reunion because I live in Massachusetts. And but I always tried to stay in touch and, you know, been a friend and donor. And it's nice to see all of you. It's nice to see all of you.
Yes, so who would like to share their Catawba story of how you got here and why Catawba?
I'll share. Porter Sywell was mentioned, and when I was in high school, Porter was the keynote leader for the senior high church camp that I attended, and I actually was there twice when Porter Sywell was there, and so I got to know him as a human being, as a thoughtful person and friend, and one who had great perspectives on spirituality and life in the world as it really is. And I was thrilled by Porter Sywell. And also at the same time at my church in Martinsburg, Dottie Dillon was a student. She was a few years ahead of me, and she was a student at Catawba, had a wonderful experience there at Catawba, and I think she stayed on for a while in development after she graduated. But Dottie was a personal influence because she was able to tell me, you know, about personal experiences and her own stories about Catawba. And so I had those introductions, as well as the fact that in my desire to study toward ministry, there were other pastors in my area who had been on the path that had chosen Catawba or one of the other Reformed church-related schools. And so that was kind of my introduction, and my visit there convinced me that it was where I wanted to be.
I'm a little curious. I would like to ask Dr. Clapp, what put you on the map for Catawba?
Actually, you can pull up the video from Friday's onboarding session. I had to prepare this as a part of that session, so it's kind of fresh on my memory, from that. But I had an 8th grade teacher who was an alumni of Duke, and she was bound and determined that I was going to go to Duke. Well, there was no way that my family could afford that, even if I could have been accepted, which is doubtful. But then someone in high school nominated me for a Moorhead scholarship, and I went through that process. And a day or two before I was to do the final interview, I had been thinking about, did I really want to go there? But more importantly, I had made the decision at that point that I was called to ministry. And a mentor had said to me, Ken, you know, if you're going into ministry, you really ought to attend a school of the denomination in which you plan to serve. That was the Evangelical and Reformed Church, United Church of Christ. And that meant if I went to one of the institutions of the United Church of Christ in North Carolina, that would be Catawba or Elon. And Elon was in my backyard. That was not particularly appealing to go there. But I had, my father had loaned me his Volkswagen Beetle several months earlier to go to Salisbury and be interviewed at Catawba. I'd gotten word that I was accepted at Catawba. So I called the committee, the Moorhead Scholarship Committee, and said, I'm not coming for the interview. I've decided to go to Catawba. And that's pretty much what got me there.
Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Oh, Larry, I think you're muted.
I was going to follow. It's not that I didn't want to go to Carolina. I really didn't want to go to Carolina either, Ken. I agree with you. But my journey is similar to Ron, and I think Jerry and Ken and some others who grew up in UCC churches. My pastor was a Catawba graduate, class of 33. His wife was a class of about 45 or 43. And they were graduates. Their 3 children at that time had gone to Catawba, and 2 were graduates. 1 had to go to the Army, my best friend, while I was at Catawba. So I too had gone to Catawba in preparation for Christian ministry. And when I got there, there must have been 25 people planning to study for Christian ministry. And I thought end of my freshman year, I knew I didn't have the resources that I needed to go back my next year. So I went to Porter Sywell, and he got me in touch with Mr. Sessoms. So the rest of the years I had scholarship, grants, work study, and I finished at Catawba. So it was meant to be. I was going to be a minister, and Edith didn't think I was. And so that's why she went out with me more than once.
And Larry, did you play a sport here at Catawba?
No, there's a Larry Bullock, and he played basketball. He was in the class of 69.
Mm-hmm. Did anyone on this call play an athletic sport?
I played in the band.
Nice, nice. Well, hey, you might be interested. We'll be having the band and choir reunion later today.
I think I'll pass.
And that other,
I officiated field hockey. Does that count?
that other Larry Bullock, spelled differently, was part of 69 and was one of 3 or 4 of the first African Americans to attend Catawba College. And yes, he was on sports.
Yes.
And went on to Chicago politics.
He was in Hedrick Hall too.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I came to Catawba.
Patricia, field hockey was mentioned earlier today.
Yeah.
With President Nelson, and they may revisit that. So there may be field hockey again at Catawba.
We were good. I mean, they were good. I didn't play. I had a bad experience with it in New Jersey, and I actually cracked a girl's ankle. So I was like, no, this isn't the sport for me. And Dr. Whitley was like, well, guess what you can do? You're a physical education major. You can do the officiating. So I officiated field hockey, and I remember Kathy Enos telling me that she didn't like me very much because I called fouls on her, and she said no other official would know that that was a foul.
That's true.
I'm like, sorry, you did it. I'm gonna call it.
Okay, so Dr. Burgess is here, the choral and choir director here. Would you like to say anything?
I walked in and I saw a very familiar face, Steve Hubbard, and I thought I just needed to break in and say hi. What year is this? What year's reunion is this?
Thank you, Philip. It's good to see you. And I asked earlier today of President Nelson what the plan was for lessons and carols, and he said that you all are putting that together, and we're obviously everyone's looking forward to that, as we always do.
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, we taped the lessons and carols service in the first week of September. First and second week of September. We actually decorated the chapel for Christmas and came in and recorded it, and then undecorated it, and then redecorated it again. We're actually doing two services. We're doing the traditional service of lessons and carols, and then because I always have to do a traditional service of lessons and carols, we never get to do anything fun. So we actually recorded some pieces with the jazz band. So we're doing a Pops Christmas that will also be aired as well. So we've got Christmas Time is Here, Winter Wonderland, Where Are You Christmas? Just a fun medley of things. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, we'll look forward to hearing it.
Well, thank you. It's good to see you all.
Thank you.
Philip, I'm present.
Yes, I see that. I see your wife more than I see you.
That's right.
In the grocery store.
In the grocery store.
That would be Food Lion number 1.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, feel free to, if there's anything that you guys wanted to chat about or bring up, any life-changing events or life updates that you want to mention, now would be a really good time to chat about that.
Okay, here we go. I'm just glad that you said you're going to do reunion next year, because I had everything worked out that I was basically going to take a month after golf season, leave Catawba or leave Littleton and make my way to Catawba, going through Pennsylvania to look up ancestry, visiting friends in Michigan, meander down for homecoming. And that was my big plan. And of course, obviously it was blown. So if you're going to do it next year, and we're allowed to do it next year, I definitely will be heading that direction. But I have a question for all you folks that are still living in Salisbury. What was the name of the little joint up the street going toward town that used to serve pizza, that you sat in the parking lot to eat the food?
Al's Nighthawk.
What?
Al's
Nighthawk.
Yes.
Yeah.
The reason we sat in the parking lot was that Dean Meggs, who was Dean's women while we were there, you may remember, felt that it was an unfit spot for young women to be.
Women.
We weren't allowed to be inside.
Yeah, she's the one that would catch me running barefoot across the campus and always yell at me, and I'd look back at her and say, yeah, I know. Shoes on. Bye.
I do remember our senior year, though, a couple of friends and I had decided we would take up roller skating, street skating. I bought saddle shoes to put my skates on. And one night we went down to Al's Nighthawk, and we stood on our roller skates, and we stood and ordered something, because after all, we weren't inside and we had come on something on wheels.
Oh. Yeah, I just remember I didn't like pizza. I wouldn't eat pizza, but I liked the crust.
Oh, but they had.
So we'd get a pizza and I would get the crust.
But Patricia, what about the hot dogs?
Footlongs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember getting hot dogs at Hardee's. That was my lunch many a day.
I like the Rowan Creamery myself. I would,
Rowan Dairy. it was
Rowan,
called.
yeah, Rowan Dairy. We would walk from campus down every night. Galen Holm, if you remember class of 69, he was a roommate my sophomore year. And some of us, Jerry, were you in that group too? We would go to get ice cream.
Once in a while, yeah.
Once in a while, yeah.
And that was primarily you walk because none of us could have a car.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the bus would come to the front of the administration building because part of the reason no one ever went out with Larry more than once was he would take them on the date on the bus. I used to try to tell my students that story and I couldn't get through it because I would laugh so much, which I'm doing now.
And if we went to a movie and we missed the bus, we had to walk back to campus downtown.
Oh, good exercise.
Yeah. I will say that several of us on this call, we went to Europe together. And Linda, you were on that trip.
Was indeed.
Glenn was on the trip. But that class, the concert choir was able to go to Europe. And so that was sort of a high point for my senior year, as well as meeting my wife, but didn't know she would be. So, yeah.
I think a lot of us still have fond memories of that trip.
Yeah. I still have slides.
7 countries, but who cared?
Linda, he still has slides.
And
so if you come to homecoming next year, come for the slideshow.
And a projector, believe it or not.
Does it still have a bulb working?
President Nelson has
Yes.
joined the call.
Yes.
If President Nelson would like to say hello and maybe mention a few things.
Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good
Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Very glad to see you. And I'm dropping in on events as I'm able to, and certainly was eager to see you all. I know I've seen some of you on some of our other meetings, but wanted to say hello. I'm enjoying listening to your stories. And Larry, that's quite a story about the dating habits there. And I'm sorry we can't be in person, but we'll look forward to seeing many of you in person at some point in the future. And I came in, I was a bit late because I went by to hear one of our music groups, the Urban Combo, and they were so good that I couldn't leave. So I think I spent the last 45 minutes with them in their rehearsal. So that's why I'm a little bit late getting to you, but it's great to see you all.
Well, you told us how much you love Zoom. I see you're still on even as the sun goes down in the background.
That's right. It's a little darker, Glenn, than the last time I was with you. But yeah, I've actually this afternoon been out in person with some people. So this is my evening Zoom activity.
Well, I'm
Dr.
glad to hear
Nelson,
that.
Thank you.
I appreciated
that-
your message this afternoon and glad to have met you. Thank you. And appreciated your update about the campus.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with us.
Oh, very good. Don't want to be in the way of your storytelling because I'll enjoy hearing them.
Well, I'm glad to hear that such good, interesting things are going on in music, because I sang in every possible way when I was at Catawba.
Right.
Concert choir, chapel choir, jazz group. If there was a way to sing, if there was a place to sing, you had at least one soprano.
You had the community chorus too, right?
Yep, that's right. First time I ever sang the Messiah.
Yeah, me too.
So I guess I'll be seeing you all at the next reunion at 6:30 then, right? The choir and band reunion.
I heard it was on Facebook. Can we get at it through Zoom?
Yes, so the Zoom, actually, Mindy Miller, she posted the Zoom link in our chat box. If you want to copy and paste that somewhere, you'll be able to join online. And Dr. Burgess will be playing the organ, special surprise. And we may have some other guests on there as well. So we're really looking forward to treating you all and, you know, letting you hear some beautiful music.
Say, Patricia, I was going to tell you, if you come down next year for homecoming, which I hope you're able, you don't have to cut golf season short. We host a golf tournament right here next to campus on a gorgeous course as a part of homecoming weekend. So just put your clubs in the car and bring them on down, and you'll have a group to play with no matter what.
If I'm traveling around, my clubs usually go with me, and I contacted Mike Reynolds on Facebook and was saying I was disappointed because I wanted to play golf, and he said Mike Garrison, he would make sure that Mike knew that I wanted to play. I said, okay.
Get you in. Well, I will say we're doing a little special treat. Our golf team is going to be sharing some, they're going to be their pro golf tips on Friday. In lieu of our golf tournament, we're having our college golfers share some of their tips of the sport for everybody. So some of us amateurs that are really bad at putt-putt I'm going to try and pick up on some pro golf tips from them.
All right, Glenn, what are you trying to show us?
This is the golf shirt that I got last time I visited the Bullocks at the college store.
Oh, okay.
So have they changed the shirt yet?
No.
So you know, even if I don't play golf, I can be there, right?
Yeah. Or you can, if we've changed it, it can be vintage.
That's what we are, vintage, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I cannot get my feet up to show you, but I've got my Catawba socks on.
All right.
And here's my Catawba cup.
Beautiful. I wear my Catawba socks as well. I've got 2 pair now, so I wear them around.
I guess I should have gone and dug in my bag. I have a ball mark repair that's at the top. Even though I haven't been back to campus since the 70s, because I was always too far away, I do have some paraphernalia.
Yeah. Do you still have your beanie?
Oh, Lord, no. Got rid of that.
Yeah. Well, I still have
Immediately.
It, but it's packed away.
Yeah, mine's hidden too somewhere. My daughters haven't even seen it yet.
Right.
I just love telling people about having a curfew as a freshman of 9 o'clock and then basically almost lights out. And it was like, you're kidding. And I also remember going to the Dean of Women because I wanted to go, I had a little letter in hand from my mother to go and visit my brother, go off campus. And she said, well, no, your mother has to write us directly. And I said, here's the sealed envelope. You know, I didn't write this. I can't copy her handwriting. No, you must get a letter. She must send it directly to us. Otherwise, you cannot leave campus. And my mother was hysterical. She was like, wait a minute, you had more freedom as a senior in high school than you have as a freshman.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yes, ma'am, I remember that well. My parents didn't make me sign out of my house when I wanted to go someplace.
Yeah. Or race to the door and try to get in before the house.
Before somebody locked it. Yes. No, they never did that to me.
No. I had special permission. I babysat Oxendine's kids.
Oh.
And I think it was in Hetrick, the old admin building. And the guy I was dating lived in that dorm too. But I would babysit their kids, but I had special permission and a note that I could stay out past curfew, even when I was a sophomore and junior, and would carry it through campus so that the campus cop wouldn't, if he stopped me, I could say, okay, I'm legitimate. And then go knock on the door, or else he would let me in the front of the door because I had a note saying I could be out past curfew.
I always tell about the dress code, how we had to wear skirts, no pants on front campus.
Over the years, I taught freshman seminar a number of times at Catawba, and I would do a class on the 1960s. And as part of that, I'd tell about Catawba in the 60s, but I would take our yearbooks in and have them look through the yearbooks just to tell me what was interesting to them. They would often say, well, a lot of folks back then had really bad eyesight because so many people are wearing glasses. They didn't realize there weren't contacts back then. And they commented on the hairdos. And then the women, in particular, the women athletes, noticed that there were usually 10 to 12 pages of football and 5 to 6 pages of basketball. And women athletics was all the teams on 2 pages, and Pat Rice Whitley was the coach of all the teams. So pre-Title IX stood out.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because I remember going back, I think it was maybe 5 years, maybe it was in 75. And I think at that point in time, you could have beer on campus. And I told them, what fun is that?
Mm-hmm.
The fun was, and I lived in North Hall, and on the front side of North Hall, in our room, my closet backed up to the bathroom, and there were some boards that you could take off. So if you happen to, President, don't listen to this, if you happen to have any alcohol, you could stash it in there and nobody could ever find it. So, there were different ways of, and who was the English teacher I remember that had a breakdown in our English class talking about wine and spirits and the god of wine, Bacca, and so forth, and it shouldn't be allowed on the campus. There should be gates at the front door and front and
male or
smell
female?
alcohol, you're gone.
Was that Miss Harden?
It could have been.
Miss Harden?
It could have been. She was old and ancient when we were freshmen. And it was a pretty
She's about 40.
And Pat, I was your RA.
It's funny.
Well, folks, we are nearing the time. We're getting close to 6 p.m. I'll let any closing remarks that you guys would like to get out, or the president, if you have any closing remarks before we end this Zoom call.
While we were talking about professors who were influential, I cannot neglect Lucille Eberson. I was a music major at Catawba, and I graduated with my degrees were in musical performance. But Lucille was such a kind and supportive and lovely person. And God, I know I disappointed her because I couldn't play for doodly piano, but she was a lovely, lovely person. And I know she was at Catawba for many, many years. And I can't not mention her. So.
And Dr. Peter Cooper died recently and has given quite a few things to Catawba College. His wife still has a lot of his artifacts and things that we did through political science. Mm-hmm. And so being there during integration in our classes were quite interesting because as we student taught, then we went through high school integration. So we depended on Dr. Singer and Dr. Cooper to help us through those times.
Well, while we were there, we had a joint program with sociology too, with Livingstone College. Yep. And that was a highlight. Those had for junior and senior year taking courses with the Livingstone students.
Good to hear, Dr. Nelson.
Larry, you're the second person in the past couple of weeks that's mentioned that program.
I was in it also. I've been making comments about that. Some of you may have seen in just emails circling.
Right.
One of the outstanding classes in that series was a I don't even know what the title was, but it was basically a discussion of Black power movement.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was, I remember I was one of 5 whites among about 50, 60 students. And it was an education just from that aspect.
In my freshman year, I went to some Swahili classes.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for joining us. I hate that we are on a time constraint because our Zooms can only hold so many events, and we've backed them all close together to fit as much as we can. But I do think we might kind of keep these going throughout the year to add some excitement for our, I don't want to call it redo. I called it the 50th blowout celebration in 2021. So keep your eye out for some emails. Maybe we'll try and schedule one in January of 2021, and we'll get some more folks to join in, and we'll just keep celebrating the class of 1970 all year long.
I think that's a wonderful plan.
I think we should only hold it if Dr. Clapp can show up in his uniform again, though.
Yeah.
But I just want to thank you guys so much for joining us. And I did email everyone the Zoom link to the choir and band reunion. If you do have a few more moments tonight and you want to pop in, you don't have to stay the whole time. But if you want to pop in and hear Dr. Burgess play the organ, he will be
now playing.
Doing that.
Has that already started then?
It has.
It starts at 6:30.
You may be hearing it in the background.
Okay.
Nice to see you all.
Bye.
Nice to see you.
So much.
Bye.
Take
See you
care.
next year.
Nice to be with you.
Well.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.